Calgary Flames, Battle of Alberta, 10:30 Eastern time, puck drop, 7:30 Pacific. Glad I live in the Pacific, so I don't have to stay up to 1:30 watching hockey games. Game one was as entertaining as you could possibly hope for. Problem was that neither goaltender was very good, especially Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen, who allowed a combined 8 goals, exposing what we knew about the Oilers really since camp. Their goaltending is not good, and then when you get to this point in the season against the upper echelon teams in the league, they really get exploited, which they did in game one. Let's take a look at the number on this game. Calgary minus $1.75, a big favorite once again. 6 over, minus $1.25. The public has pounded the over, pushing this up from minus $1.25 to $1.10, which was the send-out number. Goaltenders tonight, Mike Smith against Jacob Markstrom. That will be your goaltending matchup the rest of the series. There is an interesting note on the Edmonton Oilers goaltending situation that we'll talk about later in the breakdown. Professional athletes are certainly at this point, they are there because of their ability to let go of poor performances and criticism in a way that both teams are going to have to do that tonight, especially Mike Smith, who gave up 3 goals on the Flames' first 10 shots. I don't know if the problem lays at the feet of Jay Woodcroft or Mike Smith, or maybe even Koskinen, who was horrific in this series, or horrific in game one. But one thing is for sure, the Edmonton Oilers were not ready to play this game. And it's strange to me how an Oilers team who certainly can match scoring with Calgary, we saw that in game one, they just came out flat. And Calgary was so much better. And all the way from the goaltending on out, nobody on Edmonton, at least from a defensive standpoint, came to play. And no matter how much, though, that we emphasize the 8 goals, I do want to take a step back and say, hey, look, don't forget the fact that the Oilers put up 6. And not only did they put up 6, they put up 6 against a Vezina Trophy finalist in Jacob Markstrom. That's pretty good. And if I'm Edmonton, I go back in the locker room and I think to myself, okay, all we have to do is take care of defensive responsibilities, which was non-existent in game one, and we just have to be better in net. And that, you score 6 5-on-5 goals. That was not aided by those goals were not aided by power plays. Those were 6 5-on-5 goals. So if I'm Edmonton, and by the way, Calgary matched them for sure, but if I'm Edmonton, I got to have a little fire in my belly coming out tonight, and I know that I can have success against one of the league's best defensive teams. This is Daryl Sutter's calling card. That's played great defense at this time of year. They didn't play great defense in game one. And I think Edmonton's going to come out on fire in this one. Interesting note, like I talked about earlier, Stuart Skinner, who is an American Hockey League goaltender, was called up from the Bakersfield Condors of the AHL. And if you followed him to any degree, you know that Skinner has absolutely ripped up the American Hockey League this year. He's 27-7. There's a lot of fans around Edmonton that want him to get a shot. Well, I can tell you, if Mike Smith doesn't play well tonight, and I think there's going to be a short leash on Smith, Stuart Skinner's going to get an opportunity for sure. It is going to be interesting to see who the backup goaltender is going to be in this game. But I for the life of me, if I'm Edmonton, I can't have Koskinen as my backup. Mike Smith was bad. Koskinen was worse. I think Skinner might be the backup in this. So the reason for saying this is I don't think the game is going to get too out of hand, and as long as even if they're behind 1 or 2 goals, we've seen this Oiler team absolutely explode in game one, and they've been doing that all season long. So this is 175 really surprises me, but both of these games are the same number, so there's a huge emphasis on the favorite. And of course, this time of year, books are starting to think about their future wagers as well. So that also goes into the number. So I thought it might be, in the 50, 55, maybe 60 range, but both of these games in the 75 range really tell you that the books would love for you to take that plus money, and we will certainly do that. Let's go to tonight's selection. History will tell you that the Oilers are extremely good at bouncing back after a poor defensive effort. They've won 35, yes, I know this goes back a long time, But it's still, this is the culture of who they are. They've won 35 of the last 51 games after allowing 5 goals or more in their previous game, and more recently 8-2 the game after scoring 5 or more goals themselves. Calgary has dropped 7 of 9 after allowing 5 or more goals in their previous game. So we can definitely see the difference in dynamic there. You would have, look, going into that St. Louis, Colorado game too, you would have thought, well, there's no way, there's no way we're betting St. Louis. And of course, they got the plus money. So I'm not as afraid to go with the 2 plus monies. And of course, we're here to build bankroll. So all we need to do is win one of those, and we're in the plus. I'm going to take the generous plus money in this one. In fact, we're taking 155 in both of these games. So the over in the Carolina Rangers game becomes extremely important if we get one of those 2 plus money winners.